Hello and welcome to the Mindful Zone. I'm so glad you're here today. Together, we're about to embark on a journey into the heart of what it means to live freely, peacefully, and fully. Over the next 2 hours, we'll explore how Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness can help us find that freedom in our lives, no matter where we are or what challenges we face. This video is inspired by a powerful idea. Act as if nothing matters. Now, before you think this sounds dismissive or reckless, let me assure you it's quite the opposite. This isn't about ignoring responsibilities, shutting out emotions, or pretending life doesn't matter. Instead, it's about releasing the grip of fear, judgment, and attachment that often weigh us down. It's about finding lightness, even amidst the chaos. Think about it. How much of your day is spent worrying about things outside your control? Maybe you're stressing over work deadlines, replaying awkward conversations, or feeling overwhelmed by the sheer pace of modern life. These burdens aren't just mental, they seep into our bodies, creating tension, fatigue, and unease. But what if there was another way? What if you could step back, breathe deeply, and act with clarity instead of reactivity? That's exactly what Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness offer us. They teach us to see clearly, to respond wisely, and to embrace life as it unfolds, not as we wish it would be. And while these practices come from ancient traditions, they're incredibly relevant today. Whether you're new to these ideas or have been exploring them for years, this video will provide tools and insights to deepen your understanding and enhance your daily life. So, take a moment right now, sit back, relax, and allow yourself to settle into this space. Let go of whatever feels heavy or urgent. You don't need to figure everything out right now, just be here, with me, with yourself, and with the present moment. Throughout this video, we'll break things down into manageable chapters. Each one will focus on a different aspect of Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, offering practical advice and reflections along the way. There will also be pauses for reflection, guided exercises, and moments to simply absorb the teachings. By the end of this journey, my hope is that you'll feel inspired, not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually. That you'll walk away with a sense of calm, a renewed perspective, and perhaps even a few actionable steps to integrate into your daily routine. Are you ready? Wonderful. Let's begin. Chapter 1. What does act as if nothing matters really mean? At first glance, the phrase, act as if nothing matters, might seem counterintuitive or even reckless. After all, doesn't life require effort, goals, and care? Isn't it important to take responsibility for ourselves and others? Absolutely, but when we dig deeper, we discover that this teaching isn't about indifference, it's about liberation. To understand this better, let's start with an analogy. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Some are small pebbles, others are massive boulders. Each rock represents something you're holding on to: expectations, fears, regrets, desires. The more rocks you carry, the heavier the load becomes. Eventually, it slows you down, making every step harder than it needs to be. Now imagine setting those rocks down, not because they don't exist, but because you realize you don't need to carry them everywhere. You acknowledge their presence, but you stop letting them dictate your movements. This is what acting as if nothing matters invites us to do. It's not denial, it's discernment. Buddhism offers profound insight into why this shift is so transformative. One of its foundational teachings is that suffering arises not from external circumstances, but from our relationship to them. Pain is inevitable. We stub toes, lose loved ones, experience disappointment, but suffering is optional. It comes from clinging to pleasure, resisting discomfort, or identifying too strongly with fleeting thoughts and emotions. Take a common example: failure. When something goes wrong at work or in a personal project, it's natural to feel disappointed. But often, the real pain comes afterward, when we ruminate, criticize ourselves, or compare our performance to others. We turn a temporary setback into a permanent story about who we are. By practicing non-attachment, however, We can acknowledge the disappointment without letting it define us. Non-attachment doesn't mean apathy. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It allows us to engage more fully with life because we're not paralyzed by fear or driven by desperation. Picture an artist painting a masterpiece. If she's overly attached to perfection, her creativity might freeze up. But if she lets go of rigid expectations and focuses on the process, her work flows naturally and beautifully. Let's bring this concept closer to home. Think about something you've been holding on to tightly lately. Perhaps it's a goal you're striving toward, a mistake you can't forgive yourself for, or a relationship dynamic causing stress. Now imagine loosening your grip. What happens? Does the situation change immediately? Probably not, but your experience of it does. Suddenly there's space to breathe, to see possibilities you hadn't noticed before. Here's another key point. Acting as if nothing matters doesn't mean abandoning effort. It means channeling effort wisely. Instead of forcing outcomes, we trust the process. Instead of obsessing over results, we focus on intention. For instance, if you're preparing for a big presentation, you'll still practice diligently. But rather than fixating on whether the audience applauds, you'll concentrate on delivering your message authentically. Paradoxically, this approach often leads to better results because it reduces anxiety and enhances clarity. One of the most beautiful aspects of this mindset is how it fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable. Things won't always go according to plan, but when we're not clinging to specific outcomes, we become adaptable. We learn to bend like bamboo instead of breaking under pressure. To illustrate, consider the story of a Zen monk who lost his home in a fire. Rather than despairing, he sat calmly among the ashes and remarked, now I have a clear view of the stars." His response wasn't denial or resignation. It was acceptance paired with wonder. He chose to see beauty even in loss. Of course, adopting this perspective takes practice. It's not easy to let go of habits like worrying, controlling, or seeking validation. But every time you remind yourself to act as if nothing matters, you chip away at those patterns. You create room for peace to emerge. This principle applies to both major life events and everyday moments. For example, think about traffic jams. Most of us get frustrated, honking horns or muttering under our breath. But what if you could simply notice the delay without resistance? You'd still arrive at your destination eventually. The journey would feel less stressful. Let's explore this further through the lens of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It helps us cultivate the ability to act as if nothing matters by training us to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. For instance, when anger arises, mindfulness allows us to recognize it as just a passing emotion rather than an immutable truth. This awareness creates distance between us and our reactions, giving us the freedom to choose how we respond. Another way to embody this philosophy is through gratitude. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. When we appreciate what we have, we naturally loosen our grip on what we lack. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging challenges while also recognizing the good that exists alongside them. For example, if you're struggling financially, you might still feel grateful for your health, your friendships, or the roof over your head. This dual awareness softens the edges of hardship, making it easier to navigate. Now, let's talk about relationships. How often do we cling to certain behaviors or expectations in our interactions with others? Maybe we want someone to validate us, agree with us, or behave in a particular way. These attachments can lead to frustration and conflict, but when we act as if nothing matters, we approach relationships with openness and curiosity. We listen more deeply, speak more kindly, and accept people as they are, rather than trying to change them. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means releasing the need to control every aspect of our connections. Finally, consider how this mindset impacts our sense of purpose. Many of us tie our worth to achievements, titles, or external markers of success. While these things can provide temporary satisfaction, they rarely fulfill us in the long term. Acting as if nothing matters frees us from this relentless pursuit. It encourages us to find meaning in the present moment, to savor simple pleasures, nurture relationships, and contribute to the world in ways that align with our values. In essence, acting as if nothing matters is about embracing impermanence, cultivating presence, and trusting the flow of life. It's about finding freedom in the midst of uncertainty and joy in the face of change. As we move forward, keep this principle in mind. Act as if nothing matters, not to escape life, but to embrace it more fully. With this foundation, we're ready to dive deeper into the practices and philosophies that support this way of being. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 2: The Foundations of Buddhism. To truly understand the philosophy behind act as if nothing matters, we need to explore its roots in Buddhism. At the heart of this teaching lies a profound and timeless wisdom that has guided countless individuals toward peace, clarity, and freedom. While Buddhism is often perceived as a religion, it's more accurately described as a way of life, a set of principles and practices designed to help us navigate the complexities of existence with grace and insight. Let's delve into these foundations, starting with the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which form the backbone of Buddhist teachings. The first noble truth is simple yet profound: suffering exists. This might sound bleak at first, but it's actually an empowering acknowledgement of reality. Life is inherently unpredictable. We experience joy and sorrow, gain and loss, health and illness. These fluctuations are not anomalies, they're part of the human condition. By recognizing this truth, we stop resisting the inevitability of pain and begin to approach it with curiosity and compassion. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we start asking, "How can I meet this moment with awareness and kindness?" The second noble truth identifies the cause of suffering: craving and aversion. Craving refers to our attachment to pleasure, success, validation, or anything we believe will make us happy. Aversion, on the other hand, is our resistance to discomfort, failure, rejection, or anything we perceive as unpleasant. Together, these forces create a cycle of dissatisfaction. Think about it. How often do we chase after something only to find that the satisfaction fades quickly? Or how frequently do we avoid difficult emotions only to have them resurface later, stronger than before? Craving and aversion keep us trapped in a perpetual state of wanting more, wanting less, wanting different. But here's the hopeful part. The third noble truth assures us that freedom from suffering is possible. This freedom isn't found in escaping life or detaching from the world. It's found in transforming our relationship to life. When we release our grip on craving and aversion, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of contentment, one that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This state of liberation is often referred to as nirvana, though it's less about some distant paradise and more about living fully in the present moment, free from the burdens of attachment. The fourth noble truth outlines the path to this freedom: the Eightfold Path. Unlike rigid commandments, the Eightfold Path is a flexible guide for ethical living, mental discipline, and spiritual development. It consists of 8 interconnected practices: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Let's break these down briefly to see how they apply to daily life. Right view encourages us to see clearly, to recognize the impermanent, interdependent nature of all things. When we adopt this perspective, we stop clinging to fixed ideas about ourselves, others, or the world. Right intention focuses on cultivating wholesome motivations, such as compassion, generosity, and non-harm. These intentions shape our actions and relationships, creating ripples of positivity. Right speech reminds us of the power of words. How often do we speak impulsively out of anger or frustration? Practicing right speech means choosing our words carefully, speaking truthfully, and avoiding gossip or harsh criticism. Similarly, right action involves behaving in ways that align with our values, acting with integrity, kindness, and respect for all beings. Right livelihood invites us to reflect on how we earn our living. Are we contributing to the well-being of others, or are we causing harm? This practice encourages us to seek work that feels meaningful and ethical. Right effort emphasizes the importance of persistence and balance. It's not about pushing ourselves relentlessly. It's about nurturing positive qualities while gently letting go of harmful habits. Right mindfulness is perhaps the most familiar aspect of Buddhism, especially in modern contexts. It's the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Whether we're eating, walking, or engaging in conversation, mindfulness helps us stay grounded and aware. Finally, right concentration refers to the cultivation of deep focus through meditation. By training our minds to rest in stillness, we develop clarity and equanimity even in challenging situations. Together, these practices form a holistic framework for living wisely and compassionately. They're not meant to be followed mechanically or in isolation. Instead, they support one another, creating a virtuous cycle of growth and transformation. For example, when we practice right speech, we strengthen our mindfulness. When we engage in right livelihood, we reinforce our ethical intentions. Each step builds upon the others, guiding us toward greater harmony within ourselves and with the world around us. Beyond the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, Buddhism also emphasizes key concepts like impermanence, interdependence, and non-self. Impermanence teaches us that everything changes: our bodies, relationships, careers, thoughts, and emotions. While this realization can feel unsettling, it's also incredibly freeing. When we accept impermanence, we stop clinging to things as they are and learn to appreciate the beauty of the fleeting moment. Interdependence highlights the interconnected nature of all life. Nothing exists in isolation. Every action we take affects others just as their actions affect us. This understanding fosters empathy and responsibility. It reminds us that we're part of a vast web of relationships, each thread influencing the whole. Non-self challenges one of our deepest assumptions, that there's a fixed, unchanging me at the center of our experience. In reality, what we call the self is constantly shifting, shaped by countless factors beyond our control. Recognizing this fluidity helps us let go of ego-driven fears and desires, opening the door to greater peace and freedom. These teachings might sound abstract, but they're deeply practical. They invite us to examine our lives closely, to question our assumptions, and to experiment with new ways of being. For instance, consider how the concept of non-self applies to everyday interactions. When someone criticizes us, we often react defensively, as if our identity is under attack. But if we view ourselves as ever-changing processes rather than fixed entities, the criticism loses its sting. We can listen objectively, learn from feedback, and move forward without taking it personally. Similarly, the idea of interdependence transforms how we relate to others. When we realize that our happiness depends on collective well-being, we become more inclined to act generously and responsibly. We start seeing strangers not as separate individuals but as extensions of ourselves. This shift in perspective fosters compassion and reduces feelings of isolation. Now, let's bring this back to the principle of act, as if nothing matters. At its core, this teaching aligns perfectly with Buddhist philosophy. Both emphasize the importance of letting go, not out of resignation, but out of trust. Trust that life unfolds as it should. Trust that we have the resilience to face whatever arises, and trust that peace comes not from controlling outcomes, but from embracing the present moment. Of course, integrating these teachings into daily life takes time and patience. It's not about achieving enlightenment overnight. It's about making small, consistent shifts. Start by observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Notice when you're clinging to something or resisting change, and gently remind yourself, this too shall pass. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, allowing you to navigate life with greater ease and grace. As we move forward, keep these foundational principles in mind. They provide a solid framework for understanding and embodying the wisdom of Buddhism. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how meditation and mindfulness can deepen our connection to this philosophy and enhance our daily lives. Let's continue this journey together. Chapter 3: Why Meditation is Essential. Meditation is often described as the heart of Buddhist practice, and for good reason. It's not just a tool for relaxation or stress relief. It's a profound method for transforming how we relate to ourselves, others, and the world. Through meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations with clarity and compassion. This practice helps us break free from habitual patterns of reactivity and cultivate a deeper sense of presence and peace. Let's explore why meditation is so essential, how it works, and how you can integrate it into your daily life. At its core, meditation is about training the mind. Think of it like exercise for your body, but instead of building physical strength, you're developing mental resilience. Just as lifting weights strengthens muscles, consistent meditation builds qualities like focus, patience, and equanimity. These attributes don't just benefit your inner world, they ripple outward, improving your relationships, decision-making, and overall well-being. One of the most common misconceptions about meditation is that it's about stopping thoughts or achieving some blissful state of emptiness. In reality, meditation isn't about controlling the mind, it's about observing it. When we sit quietly and pay attention to our breath, bodily sensations, or sounds around us, we notice something remarkable. Our minds are constantly chattering. Thoughts arise one after another like waves on the surface of an ocean. Sometimes they're calm and gentle, other times they're turbulent and chaotic. The goal of meditation isn't to silence this chatter, but to become aware of it. By simply noticing what's happening without judgment, we create space between ourselves and our thoughts. This distance allows us to respond rather than react, to meet each moment with greater wisdom and care. Let's take a closer look at how meditation achieves this transformation. One of the primary techniques used in Buddhist meditation is mindfulness of breathing. This practice involves focusing your attention on the natural rhythm of your breath. Inhaling, exhaling, feeling the air move in and out of your body. Sounds simple, right? But try it for even 5 minutes and you'll likely discover how challenging it can be. Your mind will wander, pulled by distractions, memories, plans, or worries. That's perfectly normal. The key isn't to prevent these diversions, but to gently bring your attention back to the breath whenever you notice it has strayed. Each time you do this, you're strengthening your ability to stay present, a skill that translates directly into everyday life. For example, imagine you're having a difficult conversation with someone. Instead of reacting impulsively out of frustration or defensiveness, you might pause, take a deep breath, and respond thoughtfully. This small act of mindfulness can de-escalate tension and foster understanding. Similarly, when faced with overwhelming emotions like anger or sadness, meditation teaches you to acknowledge them without being consumed by them. You might say to yourself, I'm feeling angry right now, and then sit with that emotion, allowing it to pass naturally like a cloud drifting across the sky. Over time, this practice reduces emotional reactivity and increases self-awareness. Another powerful aspect of meditation is its ability to cultivate compassion, not just for others, but also for ourselves. Self-compassion is especially important because many of us are quick to criticize ourselves for perceived failures or shortcomings. Meditation encourages us to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, recognizing that imperfection is part of the human experience. A popular practice for nurturing compassion is called metta, loving-kindness meditation. In this technique, you silently repeat phrases like, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease." Once you've extended these wishes to yourself, you gradually expand them to include loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and even people who challenge you. This practice softens the heart, dissolves barriers, and fosters a sense of connection with all beings. Scientific research has increasingly validated the benefits of meditation. Studies show that regular meditation reduces anxiety, improves focus, enhances emotional regulation, and boosts overall well-being. It can even lead to structural changes in the brain, such as increased grey matter density in areas associated with memory, learning, and empathy. But beyond these measurable effects, meditation offers something intangible yet invaluable, a sense of wholeness and belonging. It reminds us that beneath the noise of daily life lies a quiet, steady awareness, an essence that remains unchanged no matter what happens externally. Connecting with this awareness provides a profound source of stability and contentment. Now, let's address a common concern: finding time to meditate. Many people hesitate to start because they feel too busy or overwhelmed. If this resonates with you, remember that meditation doesn't require hours of sitting in silence. Even a few minutes a day can make a difference. Start small, 3 to 5 minutes, and gradually increase as you build momentum. Choose a time that works best for you, whether it's first thing in the morning, during a lunch break, or before bed. Consistency matters more than duration. What's important is showing up regularly, creating a habit that becomes second nature over time. Creating a supportive environment can also help. Find a quiet spot where you won't be disturbed and make it inviting. You don't need anything elaborate. A cushion, a chair, or even a corner of your bedroom will suffice. Some people like to light a candle, burn incense, or place meaningful objects nearby to set the mood. These rituals aren't necessary, but they can signal to your mind that it's time to slow down and turn inward. If you're new to meditation, guided practices can be incredibly helpful. There are countless apps, videos, and audio recordings available that walk you through different techniques. Listening to a soothing voice can provide structure and encouragement, especially during those initial stages when the mind feels restless or resistant. As you grow more comfortable, you may choose to meditate independently, relying solely on your breath or chosen anchor point. It's worth noting that meditation isn't always easy. There will be days when your mind feels particularly scattered or when you struggle to sit still. That's okay. The beauty of meditation lies not in perfection, but in persistence. Every session, no matter how challenging, contributes to your growth. Think of it like planting seeds. You may not see immediate results, but with consistent care and attention, those seeds eventually sprout and flourish. Beyond formal meditation sessions, you can bring mindfulness into everyday activities. This approach, known as informal meditation, involves infusing ordinary moments with awareness. For instance, while brushing your teeth, notice the sensation of the bristles against your gums, the taste of the toothpaste, the sound of water running. When eating, savor each bite, paying attention to flavors, textures, and aromas. During conversations, listen deeply, giving the speaker your full attention rather than planning your next response. These micro practices reinforce the skills you develop during seated meditation, helping you stay grounded throughout the day. Finally, let's talk about the broader impact of meditation on society. While personal transformation is undoubtedly valuable, collective change begins with individual action. When we meditate, we radiate calm and kindness, influencing those around us in subtle yet significant ways. Imagine a world where more people practice mindfulness and compassion, where leaders approach decisions with wisdom and empathy, where communities supported one another with generosity and understanding. This vision may seem idealistic, but it starts with each of us taking responsibility for our own minds and hearts. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the role meditation could play in your life. Perhaps it's a way to manage stress, deepen self-awareness, or connect with something greater than yourself. Whatever your motivation, know that the journey is worthwhile. Meditation isn't just a practice, it's a pathway to freedom, a way of stepping off the treadmill of endless striving and embracing the richness of the present moment. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how mindfulness extends beyond the cushion and into the fabric of daily existence. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 4. The Power of Mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of the most transformative tools we can cultivate in our lives, and it's also one of the simplest. At its essence, Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment, intentionally and without judgment. It's about being fully awake to life as it unfolds, rather than living on autopilot or getting lost in thoughts about the past or future. While mindfulness has deep roots in Buddhist teachings, it's a universal skill that anyone can develop regardless of background or belief system. In this chapter, we'll explore why mindfulness is so powerful, how it works, and how you can weave it into the fabric of your daily existence. To understand the power of mindfulness, let's first consider what happens when we're not mindful. How often do you find yourself rushing through tasks, barely noticing what you're doing? Maybe you eat breakfast while scrolling through emails, drive to work lost in thought, or spend evenings glued to screens instead of connecting with loved ones. These habits might seem harmless, but over time, they create a sense of disconnection from ourselves, from others, and from the world around us. We miss out on the richness of ordinary moments, trading presence for productivity, distraction for depth. Mindfulness invites us to slow down and savor life's textures. When we drink a cup of tea mindfully, for instance, we don't just gulp it down. We notice the warmth of the mug in our hands, the aroma rising from the steam, the subtle flavors dancing on our tongue. Suddenly, an everyday act becomes extraordinary. This shift isn't about making things more complicated, it's about seeing them clearly. By bringing awareness to the details, we uncover beauty and meaning in places we might otherwise overlook. One of the reasons mindfulness is so effective is that it bridges the gap between theory and practice. Unlike abstract concepts, mindfulness is experiential. It's something you live, moment by moment. You don't need special equipment or extensive training to begin. All you need is a willingness to pay attention. For example, try this now. Take a single breath. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, expanding your chest. Then exhale slowly, releasing tension along with the breath. Did you notice anything shift even slightly? That's mindfulness in action, a small yet profound way of reconnecting with yourself and the present moment. Now let's delve deeper into how mindfulness operates. At its core, mindfulness involves three key elements: intention, attention, and attitude. Intention refers to your purpose for practicing mindfulness. Are you seeking greater calm, deeper connection, more clarity? Whatever your goal, setting an intention helps anchor your practice. Attention is the act of focusing on whatever arises in the present moment, whether it's your breath, bodily sensations, sounds, or emotions. An attitude is the quality of awareness you bring to the experience. Instead of judging or analyzing, mindfulness encourages curiosity, openness, and acceptance. Together, these elements form a framework for engaging with life more fully. Research shows that mindfulness has wide-ranging benefits, both psychological and physiological. Studies have linked mindfulness to reduced stress, improved focus, enhanced emotional regulation, and even strengthened immune function. It can also foster resilience, helping us navigate challenges with greater ease. For example, imagine facing a stressful situation at work. Without mindfulness, you might react impulsively, driven by fear or frustration. But if you pause and tune into your body, feeling your feet on the ground, noticing your breath, you create space to respond wisely rather than react blindly. This ability to pause and choose is perhaps the greatest gift of mindfulness. Let's explore some practical ways to integrate mindfulness into daily life. One of the easiest starting points is mindful breathing. Your breath is always with you, making it a reliable anchor for attention. Throughout the day, take a few moments to check in with your breathing. Is it shallow or deep, fast or slow? Simply observing your breath can help you reset and refocus, no matter where you are. Another accessible practice is mindful eating. Many of us consume meals quickly, barely tasting the food. Next time you sit down to eat, try slowing down. Before taking the first bite, pause to appreciate the colors, textures, and scents of your meal. As you chew, notice the flavors and how they evolve. Eating mindfully not only enhances enjoyment but also promotes healthier digestion and a more balanced relationship with food. Walking is another opportunity for mindfulness. Whether you're strolling through a park or commuting to work, you can turn walking into a meditative practice. Pay attention to the sensation of your feet touching the ground, the rhythm of your steps, the movement of your arms. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the physical experience of walking. This simple act can transform a mundane activity into a source of joy and grounding. Even routine chores like washing dishes or folding laundry can become mindfulness exercises. Instead of viewing these tasks as burdensome, see them as chances to engage with the present moment. Feel the warmth of the water on your hands, hear the clink of plates, notice the folds forming in the fabric. By approaching chores with mindfulness, you might discover a surprising sense of satisfaction and peace. Of course, mindfulness isn't limited to solitary activities, it extends to interactions with others as well. Mindful communication involves listening deeply and speaking thoughtfully. When someone is talking, resist the urge to interrupt or plan your response. Instead, give them your full attention, noticing their tone, facial expressions, and body language. Similarly, when you speak, choose your words carefully, aiming to express yourself honestly and kindly. Mindful communication fosters trust, empathy, and mutual understanding, strengthening relationships in profound ways. While mindfulness offers countless benefits, it's important to acknowledge that it's not always easy. Our minds are wired to wander, and distractions abound in modern life. Social media notifications, looming deadlines, noisy environments, all of these can pull us away from the present moment. The key is to approach mindfulness with patience and self-compassion. There's no such thing as perfect mindfulness. The very act of noticing when your attention has drifted and bringing it back is itself a form of success. Each moment of awareness strengthens your ability to stay present over time. It's also helpful to recognize that mindfulness isn't about achieving a particular state of mind. You don't need to feel calm, happy, or peaceful to be mindful. Sometimes mindfulness reveals discomfort, restlessness, sadness, frustration, but that's okay. The point isn't to avoid difficult emotions, it's to meet them with kindness and curiosity. By acknowledging pain without resistance, we reduce its grip and open ourselves to healing. Finally, let's talk about the ripple effects of mindfulness. When we cultivate awareness in our own lives, we naturally inspire those around us to do the same. Imagine a workplace where colleagues prioritize mindful listening during meetings, or family dinner where everyone puts away their phones and engages fully in conversation. These small shifts can lead to big changes, creating environments that nurture connection, creativity, and compassion. On a larger scale, widespread adoption of mindfulness could address societal issues like burnout, polarization, and environmental neglect. After all, when we're truly present, we're better equipped to care for ourselves, each other, and the planet. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the role mindfulness can play in your life. Perhaps it's a way to reclaim joy, deepen relationships, or navigate challenges with grace. Whatever your motivation, remember that mindfulness is a journey, not a destination. It's not about mastering a technique or reaching a final goal, it's about showing up again and again for the unfolding mystery of life. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how compassion amplifies the power of mindfulness, creating a life rich with purpose and love. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 5. Cultivating Compassion. Compassion is one of the most beautiful and transformative qualities we can cultivate, and it's also one of the most misunderstood. Often when we think of compassion, we picture grand gestures, volunteering at a shelter, comforting a grieving friend, or donating to a worthy cause. While these acts are undeniably important, compassion begins much closer to home in the way we treat ourselves and the subtle ways we interact with others every day. In this chapter, we'll explore why compassion is so essential, how it aligns with mindfulness and meditation, and how you can nurture it in your own life. At its core, compassion is about recognizing suffering, whether it's our own or someone else's, and responding with kindness and care. It's not just feeling sorry for someone, it's actively choosing to alleviate pain, even in small ways. This might sound like a lofty ideal, but compassion is deeply practical. It strengthens relationships, fosters resilience, and creates a sense of connection that transcends individual differences. Moreover, research shows that practicing compassion benefits not only those around us, but also our own well-being. Studies have linked compassion to reduced stress, increased happiness, and even improved physical health. When we open our hearts to others, we simultaneously heal ourselves. One of the foundational teachings of Buddhism is that compassion begins with self-compassion. Many of us are quick to extend kindness to others but struggle to offer the same warmth to ourselves. We criticize our mistakes, dwell on perceived flaws, and hold ourselves to impossibly high standards. This lack of self-compassion doesn't just harm us, it limits our ability to be compassionate toward others. Think about it. If you're constantly beating yourself up, you'll likely feel depleted and resentful, leaving little energy to support those around you. On the other hand, when you treat yourself with gentleness and understanding, you create a reservoir of love that naturally overflows into your interactions with others. So how do we cultivate self-compassion? One powerful practice is to reframe the way we talk to ourselves. Instead of berating yourself for falling short, try speaking to yourself as you would to a dear friend. For example, if you make a mistake at work, instead of saying, "I'm such an idiot," you might say, "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. What can I learn from this?" This simple shift in language can soften your inner critic and foster a more supportive relationship with yourself. Another effective technique is the self-compassion break, developed by psychologist Dr. Kristin Neff. The next time you're struggling, pause and acknowledge your pain. Say to yourself, "This is a moment of suffering." Then remind yourself that suffering is part of the human experience. I'm not alone in this. Finally, place a hand over your heart and offer yourself words of comfort. May I be kind to myself. May I give myself the compassion I need. These steps may feel awkward at first, but with practice they become second nature, helping you navigate challenges with greater ease and grace. Once we've established a foundation of self-compassion, we can begin extending compassion outward. A wonderful way to do this is through metta meditation, also known as loving-kindness meditation. In this practice, you silently repeat phrases of goodwill, starting with yourself and gradually expanding to include others. Begin by placing a hand over your heart and saying, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease." Once you've extended these wishes to yourself, move on to someone you care about, a family member, a close friend, and repeat the same phrases. May you be happy, may you be healthy. From there, expand your circle to include acquaintances, strangers, and even people who challenge you. You might find it difficult to wish well for someone who has hurt you, but remember that metta isn't about condoning harmful behavior, it's about freeing yourself from resentment and fostering peace within your own heart. Compassion doesn't always require words or actions. Sometimes it's simply about being present. Imagine sitting with a loved one who's going through a tough time. You might not know exactly what to say, and that's okay. Your presence alone, your willingness to listen without judgment or interruption, can be incredibly healing. This principle applies to all kinds of relationships. Whether you're interacting with a partner, a co-worker, or a stranger, showing up with openness and empathy creates a space where connection can flourish. Of course, cultivating compassion isn't always easy. There will be moments when it feels inconvenient, uncomfortable, or even overwhelming. Perhaps you're exhausted after a long day and don't feel like lending a helping hand. Or maybe someone's behavior triggers frustration or anger, making it hard to respond with kindness. These challenges are natural. They're part of the human experience. The key is to approach them with patience and persistence. Compassion is a muscle that grows stronger with use. Each time you choose kindness over irritation, understanding over judgment, you strengthen your capacity to care. Let's consider some practical ways to weave compassion into daily life. Start by paying attention to small opportunities throughout the day. Hold the door open for someone carrying heavy bags. Smile at a cashier and ask how their day is going. Offer a sincere compliment to a colleague. These seemingly minor acts can have a profound impact, brightening someone's day and reminding them they're valued. Another powerful practice is active listening. When someone shares something with you, resist the urge to interrupt, advise, or compare their experience to your own. Instead, focus fully on what they're saying, offering your attention as a gift. Reflect back what you hear to show you're truly engaged. It sounds like you're feeling frustrated because active listening validates the speaker's emotions and fosters trust, deepening your bond with them. Technology provides another avenue for cultivating compassion. Social media, for instance, can be a double-edged sword. It connects us, but often encourages comparison and negativity. However, with mindful intention, it can also be a platform for spreading kindness. Leave uplifting comments on posts, share stories that inspire hope, or send private messages of encouragement to friends or acquaintances. Even a brief note saying, "Thinking of you," can brighten someone's day. Now let's talk about the role of boundaries in compassion. Some people worry that being compassionate means sacrificing their own needs or tolerating harmful behavior. But true compassion includes setting healthy limits, saying no when you're overwhelmed, addressing conflict constructively, or stepping away from toxic situations. All of these actions demonstrate self-respect and respect for others. Boundaries ensure that compassion remains sustainable, allowing you to care for yourself while still supporting those around you. Compassion also extends beyond interpersonal relationships to encompass broader communities and the environment. Acts of service, advocacy, and stewardship are expressions of compassion on a larger scale. Volunteering at a local non-profit, participating in community cleanups, or advocating for policies that promote equity and justice, all of these efforts reflect a commitment to collective well-being. Even small contributions like reducing waste or supporting ethical businesses make a difference. Compassion isn't limited to human beings, it encompasses all living things. Treating animals, plants, and ecosystems with care reflects a deep understanding of interconnectedness, the recognition that harming one part of the web affects the whole. Finally, let's explore the spiritual dimension of compassion. Many traditions view compassion as a path to liberation, not just for individuals but for humanity as a whole. By softening our hearts and embracing universal love, we transcend ego-driven fears and desires. We begin to see beyond divisions of race, religion, nationality, and ideology, recognizing that beneath surface differences lies a shared humanity. This perspective fosters unity and harmony, creating the conditions for lasting peace. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the power of compassion to transform both your inner world and the world around you. Perhaps it's a way to heal old wounds, mend broken relationships, or contribute to a more just and loving society. Whatever your motivation, remember that compassion is a journey, not a destination. It's not about achieving perfection or eradicating suffering entirely. It's about meeting each moment with an open heart and a willingness to care. With this foundation, we're ready to explore the profound teaching of impermanence and how it shapes our understanding of life. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 6. Embracing Impermanence. Impermanence is one of the most profound and often challenging teachings in Buddhism. It's a truth that permeates every aspect of existence. Nothing lasts forever. Relationships evolve, careers shift, bodies age, and emotions ebb and flow. While this reality might initially feel unsettling or even disheartening, embracing impermanence can be a source of immense freedom and peace. In this chapter, we'll explore why impermanence matters, how it shapes our lives, and how we can learn to accept it with grace and wisdom. At first glance, impermanence seems like a harsh reminder of life's fragility. After all, who wants to dwell on the fact that everything we cherish will eventually change or disappear? Yet when we look closer, we see that impermanence is also what makes life vibrant and precious. Without change, there would be no growth, no renewal, no possibility for transformation. The same sunset that fades into darkness gives way to the brilliance of dawn. The same tree that sheds its leaves in autumn bursts forth with new buds in spring. Impermanence isn't just an abstract concept, it's the rhythm of life itself. One of the reasons impermanence is so difficult to accept is because we're wired to seek stability and control. From an evolutionary perspective, this tendency served us well. It helped our ancestors survive by anticipating threats and securing resources. But in modern times, clinging to permanence often leads to suffering. We resist change, hoping to freeze moments of joy or avoid periods of pain. Yet, life doesn't operate according to our preferences. By resisting impermanence, we create unnecessary tension and disappointment. Consider the fleeting nature of happiness. Have you ever noticed how quickly pleasure fades after achieving a goal? You work tirelessly for a promotion only to find that the excitement wears off within weeks, or you buy something you've been longing for only to realize it doesn't bring lasting satisfaction. This isn't because happiness is elusive, it's because happiness tied to external conditions is inherently temporary. When we understand this, we stop chasing after outcomes that promise eternal fulfillment and instead focus on cultivating inner contentment, a state of being that remains steady regardless of circumstances. Impermanence also applies to challenges and difficulties. Painful emotions, conflicts, and setbacks are inevitable parts of life, but they too are transient. Just as clouds pass across the sky, so do moments of anger, sadness, or fear. Recognizing this allows us to meet adversity with greater equanimity. Instead of identifying with our struggles as if they define who we are, we see them as passing phases. This perspective reduces their power over us and opens the door to healing. Let's delve deeper into how impermanence operates in different areas of life. Take relationships, for example. Whether it's a romantic partnership, a friendship, or family bond, every relationship evolves over time. People grow, priorities shift, and dynamics change. Sometimes these changes strengthen connections, other times they lead to separation. Either way, clinging to how things used to be creates friction and prevents us from fully experiencing the present moment. By embracing impermanence, we let go of rigid expectations and allow relationships to unfold naturally. We cherish the good times without clinging to them and navigate challenges with patience and understanding. The same principle applies to careers and personal goals. Many of us tie our sense of identity to our jobs, achievements, or roles in society. But these aspects of life are subject to change. A dream job might become unfulfilling, a project might fail despite our best efforts, or unforeseen circumstances might force us to pivot in a new direction. While these transitions can feel destabilizing, they also offer opportunities for growth and reinvention. By accepting impermanence, we approach change not as a threat, but as a chance to expand our horizons and discover new facets of ourselves. Bodies too are governed by impermanence. Aging is perhaps the most visible manifestation of this truth. Wrinkles form, hair grays, energy levels fluctuate, all reminders that our physical forms are constantly evolving. For many people, aging triggers resistance and fear. We cling to youthful appearances or lament the loss of vitality. Yet when we embrace impermanence, we begin to see aging as a natural process, one that brings wisdom, depth, and unique beauty. Rather than fighting against it, we learn to honor our bodies at every stage of life. Even thoughts and emotions are impermanent. If you sit quietly and observe your mind, you'll notice how rapidly mental states shift. One moment you're calm, the next anxious. Joy gives way to boredom, frustration dissolves into laughter. These fluctuations remind us that no single thought or feeling defines us. When we identify too strongly with a particular emotion, believing, for instance, that anger is who we are, we trap ourselves in unnecessary suffering. By recognizing the transient nature of thoughts and emotions, we gain distance from them. we realize that we're not our anger, our sadness, or our joy. We're the awareness that observes these experiences. Meditation is a powerful tool for deepening our understanding of impermanence. During meditation, we watch sensations arise and pass away, a tingling in the hand, a tightness in the chest, a wave of restlessness. Each experience comes and goes, leaving behind a sense of spaciousness. Over time, this practice trains us to relate to impermanence with curiosity rather than resistance. Instead of fearing change, we welcome it as an integral part of life's unfolding mystery. Mindfulness complements this process by anchoring us in the present moment. Because impermanence teaches us that the past is gone and the future hasn't arrived, the only place we truly have is now. Mindfulness helps us inhabit the present fully, savoring its richness without clinging to it. For instance, imagine watching a sunset. You notice the colors shifting, soft pinks giving way to fiery oranges, then fading into deep purples. If you try to hold on to a single hue, you miss the entire spectacle. But if you simply observe the changes, you experience the sunset's full splendor. Accepting impermanence also fosters gratitude. When we recognize that nothing lasts forever, we appreciate what we have while it's here. A simple meal becomes a feast, a shared laugh becomes a treasure, a quiet evening becomes sacred. Gratitude shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, helping us find joy in the ordinary. Of course, embracing impermanence isn't always easy. There will be moments when letting go feels unbearable, when we desperately want to hold on to someone, something, or some version of ourselves. Grief, in particular, highlights the raw edge of impermanence. Losing a loved one, ending a significant chapter, or facing mortality can trigger profound sorrow. In these moments, compassion for ourselves and others is essential. Allow yourself to grieve fully, knowing that grief itself is impermanent. Like waves on the ocean, it rises and falls, gradually softening over time. Another challenge arises when impermanence intersects with attachment. Attachment isn't inherently bad. It's natural to care deeply about people, projects, or passions. However, when attachment becomes possessive or rigid, it causes suffering. We cling to outcomes, demand guarantees, or refuse to adapt to changing circumstances. By loosening our grip, not detaching completely but holding lightly, we create room for flexibility and resilience. Finally, let's consider the spiritual implications of impermanence. Many traditions view impermanence as a gateway to liberation. When we truly understand that nothing is permanent, not our bodies, possessions, identities, or even our thoughts, we stop taking life so seriously. We act with lightness and playfulness, knowing that everything is temporary. This realization dissolves fear and frees us to live authentically. As we conclude the chapter, reflect on how impermanence shows up in your own life. Perhaps it's a reminder to cherish fleeting moments, embrace change, or release what no longer serves you. Whatever insights arise, remember that impermanence isn't something to overcome, it's something to embrace. By doing so, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, finding peace amidst uncertainty and wonder in the ever-changing dance of existence. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how mindfulness and compassion can help us navigate difficult emotions with clarity and care. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 7: Dealing with Difficult Emotions. Difficult emotions are an inevitable part of life. Whether it's anger, sadness, fear, frustration, or grief, these feelings arise naturally in response to challenges, losses, and uncertainties. While we often try to avoid or suppress them, difficult emotions carry valuable messages about our needs, boundaries, and inner landscape. In this chapter, we'll explore how mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom can help us navigate difficult emotions with greater ease, transforming what might feel overwhelming into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. One of the first steps in dealing with difficult emotions is acknowledging that they're not inherently bad. Society often teaches us to view emotions like anger or sadness as negative, something to push away or overcome, but emotions themselves are neutral. They're simply signals from our mind and body, alerting us to situations that require attention. For example, anger might indicate a boundary being crossed, sadness might reflect a loss needing processing, and fear could signal a need for safety or preparation. When we label emotions as bad or wrong, we add layers of judgment and resistance that amplify their intensity. Instead, approaching emotions with curiosity and openness allows us to work with them constructively. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in this process. By observing our emotions without immediately reacting to them, we create space to understand their origins and purpose. Imagine sitting quietly and noticing an emotion as it arises, say, frustration during a disagreement. Rather than lashing out or bottling it up, you can pause and ask yourself, where am I feeling this in my body? What thoughts are accompanying it? What triggered this reaction? These questions help you untangle the web of sensations, beliefs, and triggers that make up the emotional experience. Over time, this practice builds emotional literacy, the ability to identify, articulate, and manage your feelings effectively. Let's break down how mindfulness works in relation to specific emotions. Take anger, for instance. Anger tends to be one of the most challenging emotions because it feels so intense and urgent. Left unchecked, it can lead to hurtful words or actions that damage relationships. However, when approached mindfully, anger reveals itself as a protective mechanism, a way of signaling injustice, violation, or unmet needs. The key is to slow down and examine the emotion before acting on it. You might notice tension in your jaw, heat rising in your chest, or racing thoughts fueling your irritation. Simply naming the sensation, "I'm feeling angry right now," can reduce its power over you. From there, you can investigate what lies beneath the anger. Are you feeling disrespected, unheard, exhausted? Understanding the root cause enables you to address the underlying issue rather than escalating the conflict. Sadness is another common yet complex emotion. Unlike anger, which often demands action, sadness invites stillness and reflection. It's a natural response to loss, disappointment, or unmet expectations. Yet many people resist sadness, fearing it will overwhelm them or make them appear weak. Mindfulness teaches us to lean into sadness instead of running from it. Sit quietly and allow yourself to feel the weight of it, the heaviness in your chest, the lump in your throat, the tears welling up. Rather than judging yourself for feeling sad, offer yourself compassion. It's okay to feel this way. This is part of being human. Allowing sadness to move through you without resistance brings surprising relief. Often once expressed, sadness softens, making room for clarity and renewal. Fear, too, deserves mindful attention. Fear is a primal emotion designed to keep us safe, but in modern life, it often arises in response to imagined threats rather than real dangers. For example, fear of failure, rejection, or change can paralyze us, preventing us from taking risks or pursuing meaningful goals. Mindfulness helps us distinguish between genuine danger and irrational worry. When fear arises, pause and ask yourself, is this threat immediate and tangible, or is it based on speculation? If the fear is grounded in reality, mindfulness equips you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. If it's unfounded, you can gently remind yourself, this is just a story my mind is telling me. I don't have to believe it. Frustration is another emotion that frequently surfaces in daily life, especially when things don't go according to plan. Whether it's traffic delays, technical glitches, or uncooperative colleagues, frustration can quickly escalate into impatience or resentment. Mindfulness offers a way to interrupt this cycle by shifting your focus from external circumstances to internal responses. Instead of fixating on what's going wrong, bring your awareness to your breath and bodily sensations. Notice where frustration lives in your body. Is it tightness in your shoulders, clenched fists, or shallow breathing? By grounding yourself in the present moment, you regain a sense of control and perspective. You might even find humor in the situation, realizing that minor inconveniences rarely matter in the grand scheme of things. Grief represents perhaps the most profound and enduring of difficult emotions. Losing someone or something deeply cherished leaves a void that can feel unbearable. Grieving is a highly individual process, and there's no right way to do it. However, mindfulness and compassion provide tools to navigate this painful terrain. Allow yourself to feel the full spectrum of emotions associated with grief: sadness, anger, guilt, regret, longing, without trying to rush through them. Create rituals or practices that honor your loss, such as journaling, lighting a candle, or visiting a special place. Surround yourself with supportive people who can hold space for your pain without trying to fix it. Remember that grief isn't linear. It ebbs and flows unpredictably. Be gentle with yourself during this time, trusting that healing happens gradually and organically. While mindfulness provides a framework for observing and understanding emotions, compassion amplifies its effectiveness. Compassion reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles, that everyone experiences difficult emotions at some point. When you're caught in the grip of anger or sadness, extending kindness to yourself can soften the edges of suffering. Place a hand over your heart and silently repeat phrases like, "May I be kind to myself. May I give myself the care I need." This simple act of self-compassion fosters resilience, enabling you to weather emotional storms with greater grace. Compassion also extends outward, helping us relate to others' difficult emotions with empathy and understanding. Imagine a friend confiding in you about their struggles. Instead of offering unsolicited advice or minimizing their pain, "It's not that bad." Listen deeply and validate their experience. "That sounds really hard. I'm here for you." Sometimes presence and acknowledgement are more comforting than solutions. Similarly, when encountering anger or frustration in others, mindfulness helps you stay calm and centered, reducing the likelihood of escalating conflicts. Another powerful practice for working with difficult emotions is reframing. Reframing involves shifting your perspective on a challenging situation, finding meaning or opportunity within it. For example, if you're feeling anxious about an upcoming presentation, you might reframe the anxiety as excitement, a sign that you care deeply about doing well. Or if you're grieving the end of a relationship, you might acknowledge the growth and lessons that emerged from it. Reframing doesn't mean denying pain or pretending everything is fine. It means expanding your viewpoint to include possibilities beyond suffering. Journaling is another effective tool for processing difficult emotions. Writing allows you to externalize your thoughts and feelings, giving them form and structure. Start by describing the emotion in detail. What does it feel like? Where did it come from? How is it affecting me? Then explore potential insights or actions you can take. Journaling creates distance between you and your emotions, making them easier to manage. It also serves as a record of your journey, showing how far you've come over time. Finally, let's talk about the importance of self-care in managing difficult emotions. Self-care isn't indulgent, it's essential. When you're emotionally drained, neglecting basic needs like sleep, nutrition, and movement exacerbates stress and lowers resilience. Prioritize activities that nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Take a warm bath, go for a walk in nature, listen to soothing music, or spend time with loved ones. Building a foundation of self-care ensures you have the resources to face challenges with strength and clarity. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on how you typically handle difficult emotions. Do you tend to suppress them, dwell on them, or lash out? What tools or practices resonate with you as ways to approach them differently? Remember that difficult emotions aren't enemies to conquer, they're teachers, guiding us toward deeper self-awareness and growth. By meeting them with mindfulness, compassion, and courage, we transform pain into wisdom, struggle into strength, and darkness into light. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how to build a sustainable daily practice that integrates these principles into every aspect of life. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 8. Building a daily practice. Building a daily practice is one of the most transformative steps you can take toward living with greater mindfulness, compassion, and awareness. It's not about achieving perfection or adhering to rigid rules. It's about creating rituals and habits that nourish your mind, body, and spirit over time. A consistent practice becomes a sanctuary, a sacred space where you reconnect with yourself and align with your deepest values. In this chapter, we'll explore how to design a daily practice that works for you, incorporating elements of Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness in ways that are accessible, sustainable, and deeply enriching. The first step in building a daily practice is recognizing that it's not a one-size-fits-all endeavor. What works for someone else might not resonate with you, and that's okay. Your practice should reflect your unique needs, preferences, and lifestyle. Begin by asking yourself, what do I want to cultivate in my life? Is it calm and clarity, gratitude and joy, compassion and connection? Once you identify your intentions, you can tailor your practice accordingly. Let's start with the foundation of any daily practice: consistency. The power of a practice lies not in its length, but in its regularity. Whether it's 5 minutes or 50, showing up every day builds momentum and reinforces positive habits. Think of it like watering a plant. Small, steady efforts yield growth over time. Start small, especially if you're new to these practices. Commit to just a few minutes each day, gradually increasing as you build confidence and comfort. One of the simplest yet most impactful ways to begin is through mindful breathing. Breathing is always available, making it an ideal anchor for attention. Each morning, take a moment to sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice the sensation of air entering and leaving your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest, the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. If your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring your attention back to the breath without judgment. This practice grounds you in the present moment, setting a tone of calm and awareness for the rest of your day. Another cornerstone of a daily practice is meditation. Meditation deepens your ability to observe thoughts and emotions without attachment, fostering equanimity and insight. There are countless forms of meditation, so feel free to experiment until you find what resonates. Guided meditations can be helpful if you're unsure where to start. They provide structure and encouragement, especially during the initial stages. Alternatively, you might prefer silent meditation, focusing on your breath, a mantra, or a visualization. Whatever method you choose, approach it with curiosity and openness. Over time, meditation becomes less of a task and more of a refuge, a place to return to whenever life feels overwhelming. Mindfulness extends beyond formal meditation into everyday activities. One of the beauties of mindfulness is its versatility. You can practice it anywhere, anytime. For instance, turn routine tasks into opportunities for presence. When brushing your teeth, notice the taste of the toothpaste, the texture of the bristles against your gums, the sound of water running. While eating, savor each bite, paying attention to flavors, textures, and aromas. During conversations, listen deeply, giving the speaker your full attention rather than planning your response. These micro-practices reinforce the skills you develop during seated meditation, helping you stay grounded throughout the day. Creating a dedicated space for your practice can also enhance its impact. This doesn't need to be elaborate. A quiet corner of your home with a cushion, a candle, or a meaningful object will suffice. The act of setting aside a specific area signals to your mind that it's time to slow down and turn inward. You might include items that inspire you, such as books, crystals, plants, or photographs. Over time, this space becomes a sanctuary, a reminder of your commitment to inner growth. Morning routines are particularly powerful because they set the tone for the entire day. Consider incorporating practices that energize and center you. Stretching or yoga can awaken your body, while journaling allows you to process thoughts and set intentions. Lighting incense or candles creates a calming atmosphere, inviting mindfulness and ritual into your morning. Even something as simple as drinking a cup of tea mindfully, feeling the warmth of the mug, inhaling the aroma, tasting the liquid, can infuse your day with presence and gratitude. Evenings too offer rich opportunities for reflection and integration. Before bed, take a few moments to review your day. What went well? What challenges arose and how did you respond? Journaling or meditating at night helps you process experiences, release tension, and prepare for restful sleep. Gratitude practices are especially effective in the evening. Reflect on 3 things you're thankful for, no matter how small. A kind word from a colleague, a delicious meal, a beautiful sunset. Focusing on blessings shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance, fostering contentment and peace. Compassion practices such as loving-kindness meditation, metta, can be woven into your daily routine as well. Begin by offering kindness to yourself, silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe." Then extend these wishes to others, loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and even those who challenge you. This practice softens the heart, dissolving barriers and fostering a sense of interconnectedness. Over time, compassion becomes a natural part of your being, influencing how you interact with the world. It's important to acknowledge that building a daily practice isn't always easy. Life gets busy, distractions abound, and motivation waxes and wanes. On days when you feel resistant or overwhelmed, remind yourself that showing up imperfectly is still progress. Some days, your practice might consist of nothing more than taking 3 conscious breaths before starting your day. That's enough. What matters is maintaining the intention to prioritize your well-being, even in small ways. Accountability can also support your journey. Share your goals with a trusted friend or join a community of like-minded individuals. Having someone to encourage and inspire you makes the path less lonely. Apps and online platforms offer guided meditations, courses, and forums where you can connect with others. These resources provide structure and motivation, especially during challenging times. As your practice evolves, remain open to experimentation and adaptation. What serves you today might not serve you tomorrow, and that's perfectly fine. Seasons of life change, and so do our needs. Perhaps you'll discover new techniques, deepen existing ones, or explore entirely different traditions. Trust your intuition and let your practice grow organically. Finally, remember that a daily practice isn't separate from life. It's an integral part of it. The insights and qualities you cultivate, mindfulness, compassion, resilience, ripple outward, influencing how you show up in relationships, work, and the world. Every moment becomes an opportunity to embody these principles, whether you're navigating conflict, celebrating success, or simply walking through a park. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on how you'd like to integrate these ideas into your own life. What elements resonate with you? How can you create a practice that feels authentic and sustainable? Remember, the goal isn't to achieve some idealized version of yourself, it's to meet each moment with presence, kindness, and courage. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how mindfulness and compassion transform our relationships, fostering deeper connections and more meaningful interactions. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 9. Bringing it into relationships. Our relationships are the heart of our lives. The connections we forge with others shape who we are and how we experience the world. Yet despite their importance, relationships can also be one of the greatest sources of joy and challenge. Misunderstandings, conflicts, unmet expectations, and emotional triggers can create tension and distance. This is where mindfulness, compassion, and the wisdom of Buddhism come into play, offering tools to transform our relationships into sources of growth, love, and mutual understanding. In this chapter, we'll explore how to bring these principles into your interactions with others, fostering deeper connections and more harmonious dynamics. At its core, mindfulness in relationships means being fully present with the people in your life, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. How often do we engage with loved ones while our minds are elsewhere, distracted by phones, work stress, or internal chatter? When we're not truly present, we miss opportunities to connect deeply. Mindful communication bridges this gap by encouraging us to listen actively, speak thoughtfully, and respond with empathy. Let's break down what mindful communication looks like in practice. Active listening is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate presence in relationships. When someone is speaking, resist the urge to interrupt, advise, or compare their experience to your own. Instead, focus entirely on what they're saying observing their tone, facial expressions, and body language. Reflect back what you hear to show you're engaged. It sounds like you're feeling frustrated because, or, I hear that this situation is really important to you. Active listening validates the speaker's emotions and fosters trust, creating a safe space for vulnerability and honesty. Mindfulness also invites us to notice our own reactions during conversations. Have you ever found yourself becoming defensive, dismissive, or overly critical when someone shares something challenging? These responses often stem from unconscious patterns, fear of conflict, discomfort with vulnerability, or unresolved wounds. By pausing before reacting, you give yourself time to choose a thoughtful response rather than an impulsive one. For example, if a partner expresses frustration about household responsibilities, instead of snapping back defensively, you might take a breath and say, "I hear that you're feeling overwhelmed. Can we talk about how we can share tasks more fairly?" This approach de-escalates tension and opens the door to constructive dialogue. Compassion plays a vital role in nurturing healthy relationships. Compassion begins with recognizing suffering, not just our own, but also that of others, and responding with kindness and care. When someone close to you is struggling, whether it's a friend going through a breakup or a family member dealing with work stress, extending compassion creates a sense of safety and support. Sometimes, simply being there without judgment is enough. You don't need to have all the answers. Your presence alone can be incredibly healing. Self-compassion is equally important in relationships. Many of us fall into patterns of self-criticism, especially when conflicts arise. We might blame ourselves for misunderstandings or dwell on perceived failures in our interactions. Practicing self-compassion allows us to treat ourselves with gentleness and understanding, reducing feelings of guilt or inadequacy. When you extend kindness to yourself, you naturally become more patient and forgiving toward others. Boundaries are another essential aspect of mindful and compassionate relationships. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out, it's about honoring your needs and ensuring mutual respect. For instance, if you're feeling overwhelmed and need time alone, communicating this clearly and kindly prevents resentment from building up. Similarly, respecting others' boundaries demonstrates empathy and consideration. Healthy boundaries create a foundation of trust, enabling both parties to feel seen, heard, and valued. Let's delve deeper into specific types of relationships and how mindfulness and compassion can enhance them. Take romantic partnerships, for example. Love is often portrayed as effortless and eternal, but sustaining a meaningful relationship requires ongoing effort and awareness. Mindfulness helps partners stay attuned to each other's needs, moods, and changes over time. Regular check-ins, whether formal or informal, provide opportunities to express appreciation, address concerns, and reaffirm commitment. A simple question like, "How are you feeling today?" can spark meaningful conversations and strengthen emotional intimacy. Parenting is another area where mindfulness and compassion make a profound difference. Raising children involves navigating a constant stream of challenges, from tantrums and sibling rivalry to academic pressures and teenage rebellion. Mindful parenting encourages parents to pause before reacting impulsively, choosing responses that align with their values rather than short-term frustrations. For example, instead of yelling at a child for spilling milk, a mindful parent might take a deep breath and say, "Accidents happen, let's clean it up together." This approach teaches children responsibility while modeling calmness and kindness. Friendships, too, benefit immensely from mindfulness and compassion. Friendships evolve over time, shaped by shared experiences, changing circumstances, and individual growth. Mindfulness helps us appreciate these shifts without clinging to how things used to be. It reminds us to celebrate milestones, offer support during tough times, and maintain open lines of communication. Even small gestures, a heartfelt text, a surprise call, or a thoughtful gift can deepen bonds and remind friends they're valued. Workplace relationships often present unique challenges due to power dynamics, deadlines, and diverse personalities. Mindfulness in professional settings involves cultivating patience, adaptability, and collaboration. If a colleague makes a mistake, Responding with understanding rather than criticism fosters a culture of learning and improvement. Conversely, if you're struggling with feedback or criticism, approaching it with curiosity rather than defensiveness allows you to grow professionally and personally. Compassionate leadership, in particular, inspires loyalty and motivation by prioritizing employees' well-being alongside organizational goals. Conflict resolution is a universal aspect of relationships, regardless of context. Conflicts are inevitable. They arise whenever two or more people interact regularly. However, mindfulness transforms how we approach conflict by shifting the focus from winning arguments to finding solutions. Before addressing a disagreement, take a moment to center yourself. Ask yourself, what's my intention here? Am I trying to prove a point, or am I seeking mutual understanding? Approaching conflict with clarity and calmness reduces defensiveness and promotes compromise. Gratitude. Practices further enrich relationships by highlighting their positive aspects. In the hustle of daily life, it's easy to overlook the little things that make relationships special. A partner's supportive gesture, a friend's infectious laugh, a co-worker's timely assistance. Regularly expressing gratitude through words, notes, or acts of kindness strengthens bonds and creates a cycle of positivity. For example, leaving a sticky note that says, "Thank you for always making me smile," can brighten someone's day and reinforce your connection. Finally, let's consider the spiritual dimension of relationships. Many traditions view relationships as mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves, our strengths, vulnerabilities, and areas for growth. Difficulties in relationships, while painful, often reveal unresolved issues within us. For instance, recurring conflicts with a sibling might highlight unhealed childhood wounds, while struggles in a romantic partnership could point to fears of abandonment or rejection. By approaching these challenges with mindfulness and compassion, we not only heal our relationships, but also deepen our self-awareness. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on how mindfulness and compassion can transform your own relationships. Are there areas where you'd like to be more present, patient, or kind? What steps can you take to communicate more effectively, set healthier boundaries, or express gratitude more frequently? Remember, relationships are living, breathing entities. They require care, attention, and nurturing to thrive. By bringing mindfulness and compassion into your interactions, you create a ripple effect, fostering harmony not only in your personal life, but in the broader web of human connection. With this foundation, we're ready to explore how to live with purpose, aligning your actions with your values and contributing meaningfully to the world. Let's continue exploring together. Chapter 10. Living with Purpose. Living with purpose is one of the most fulfilling and transformative ways we can approach life. Purpose isn't about achieving grand milestones or adhering to societal expectations. It's about aligning your actions with your values, contributing to something greater than yourself, and finding meaning in the everyday moments that make up your existence. In this chapter, we'll explore how mindfulness, compassion, and the teachings of Buddhism can guide you toward living a purposeful life, one that feels authentic, impactful, and deeply satisfying. At its essence, purpose is an inner compass, a sense of direction that helps you navigate challenges, celebrate joys, and stay grounded during uncertain times. It's not something external you acquire, it's something internal you cultivate. Purpose arises when you connect with what truly matters to you, not what others expect of you, and allow that awareness to shape your choices and actions. This process begins with self-reflection. Ask yourself, what brings me joy? What makes me feel alive? What impact do I want to have on the world? These questions may not yield immediate answers, but they plant seeds of clarity that grow over time. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in uncovering and nurturing your purpose. By slowing down and paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, and experiences, you begin to notice patterns, activities that energize you, values that resonate deeply, and moments when you feel most aligned with who you are. For instance, you might realize that spending time in nature fills you with peace, or that mentoring others gives you a profound sense of fulfillment. These insights guide you toward pursuits that reflect your true self, rather than external pressures. Compassion amplifies this journey by reminding us that purpose often extends beyond personal satisfaction. While it's important to pursue activities that bring you joy, a meaningful life also involves contributing to the well-being of others. Acts of kindness, service, and generosity create ripples of positivity that benefit both giver and receiver. Whether it's volunteering at a local shelter, supporting a friend in need, or simply offering a warm smile to a stranger, every action rooted in compassion contributes to a more connected and harmonious world. Let's delve deeper into how mindfulness and compassion intersect with purpose. One way to integrate these principles is through mindful goal setting. Unlike traditional goal setting, which often focuses on outcomes, for example, earning a promotion, losing weight, mindful goal setting emphasizes intention and process. Instead of fixating on results, you focus on why a particular goal matters to you and how pursuing it aligns with your values. For example, if you aspire to write a book, ask yourself, why do I want to share my story? How will this project enrich my life and the lives of others? By anchoring goals in purpose rather than achievement, you reduce attachment to specific outcomes and embrace the journey itself as meaningful. Another powerful practice is cultivating gratitude for the present moment. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance, helping you recognize the richness already present in your life. When you're grateful for what you have, you naturally become more inclined to give back. This cycle of appreciation and contribution reinforces a sense of purpose, reminding you that life is interconnected and interdependent. For instance, reflecting on the privileges you enjoy, whether it's access to education, healthcare, or supportive relationships, might inspire you to use those resources to uplift others. Purpose doesn't always come in the form of a singular calling or lifelong mission. Sometimes it manifests in small, everyday acts that collectively add up to a life well lived. Think about the difference between viewing daily tasks as chores versus opportunities for contribution. Washing dishes becomes an act of care for your household. Answering emails becomes a chance to communicate clearly and kindly. Even mundane responsibilities take on new significance when approached with mindfulness and intention. Creativity is another avenue for discovering and expressing purpose. Engaging in creative endeavors, whether it's painting, writing, cooking, or gardening, allows you to channel your unique voice and energy into the world. Creativity isn't reserved for artists or professionals. Everyone has the capacity to create, whether it's designing a beautiful garden, crafting a heartfelt letter, or solving problems at work. The act of creating fosters flow, a state of complete absorption and joy, which often reveals deeper layers of purpose. Volunteering and community involvement offer additional pathways to purpose. Contributing your skills, time, or resources to causes you care about connects you to something larger than yourself. Volunteering not only benefits recipients, but also enriches volunteers' lives by fostering a sense of belonging and impact. Whether it's teaching literacy classes, organizing neighborhood cleanups, or advocating for social justice, service-oriented activities remind us of our shared humanity and collective responsibility. It's important to note that purpose evolves over time. As you grow, learn, and experience life, your understanding of what matters most may shift. A career that once felt fulfilling might lose its appeal, or a hobby that seemed trivial could blossom into a passion. Embracing impermanence, the idea that nothing lasts forever, helps you adapt gracefully to these changes. Rather than clinging to outdated notions of purpose, you remain open to new possibilities, trusting that each phase of life holds its own gifts and lessons. Mindfulness practices like meditation and journaling support this evolution by keeping you attuned to your inner landscape. Meditation creates space for reflection, allowing you to tune into your intuition and discern what truly resonates with you. Journaling provides a tangible record of your thoughts and feelings, helping you track patterns and identify emerging themes. Together, these tools help you stay connected to your purpose even as it transforms. Compassion extends purpose beyond individual achievements to encompass collective well-being. Many traditions teach that true happiness arises not from selfish pursuits, but from altruistic ones. When you prioritize the welfare of others alongside your own, you tap into a reservoir of meaning that transcends ego-driven desires. This perspective encourages humility, empathy, and a willingness to collaborate toward common goals. Finally, let's talk about the spiritual dimension of purpose. Many philosophies, including Buddhism, suggest that our ultimate purpose is awakening, to recognize the interconnected nature of all beings and live in harmony with the universe. Awakening doesn't require dramatic revelations or extraordinary feats. It unfolds gradually through mindful living, compassionate action, and ethical conduct. Every choice you make, whether it's speaking kindly, acting with integrity, or caring for the environment, contributes to this awakening. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on how you currently define and pursue purpose in your life. Are there areas where you'd like to realign your actions with your values? How can mindfulness, compassion, and creativity deepen your sense of meaning and contribution? Remember, purpose isn't a destination, it's a dynamic, evolving journey. By staying present, embracing change, and serving others with an open heart, you create a life rich with intention, connection, and joy. With this foundation, we're ready to bring our exploration full circle, returning to the central theme of freedom and presence as guiding principles for living fully. Let's continue exploring together. And so we come to the end of our journey together, a journey into the heart of Buddhism, meditation, mindfulness, and the profound freedom they offer. Over the past 2 hours, we've explored how these timeless teachings can transform not only our inner world, but also the way we relate to others and engage with the world around us. From embracing impermanence to cultivating compassion, from building daily practices to living with purpose, each step has been an invitation to live more fully, authentically, and joyfully. Let's take a moment to reflect on where we began, with the simple yet liberating idea of act, as if nothing matters. This teaching isn't about indifference or detachment, it's about releasing the weight of expectations, judgments, and fears that so often cloud our minds. It's about finding lightness in the midst of uncertainty, peace in the face of change, and clarity in the flow of life. When we act as if nothing matters, not out of resignation but out of trust, we create space for what truly does: love, connection, presence, and purpose. Throughout this video, we've seen how mindfulness anchors us in the present moment, allowing us to savor the richness of ordinary experiences. We've discovered how compassion softens our hearts, fostering deeper relationships and greater harmony. We've learned how meditation trains the mind, helping us respond to life's challenges with wisdom and grace. And we've explored how aligning our actions with our values brings meaning and fulfillment to every aspect of our lives. But remember, this isn't the end, it's a beginning. The tools and insights you've encountered here are meant to be lived, practiced, and integrated into your daily existence. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start small. Take one idea, one practice, one intention, and let it guide you forward. Whether it's pausing to breathe before reacting, listening deeply in a conversation, or expressing gratitude for something you might otherwise take for granted, each small step contributes to a larger transformation. As you move forward, carry this question with you. How can I meet this moment with awareness, kindness, and courage? Let it be your touchstone, your reminder to stay grounded in the here and now. Life will continue to unfold in unpredictable ways. There will be joys and sorrows, triumphs and challenges, but armed with mindfulness, compassion, and purpose, you'll navigate it all with greater ease and resilience. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. Your presence here is a testament to your desire for growth, healing, and understanding. Together, we've created a space of learning and reflection, a space I hope will inspire you to keep exploring, questioning, and evolving. Remember, you hold within you everything you need to live a life of freedom, peace, and purpose. Trust yourself, trust the process, and above all, trust in the beauty of simply being. Until next time, take care, and may you walk lightly, love deeply, and live freely. Thank you for being part of the Mindful Zone. Namaste.